श्री राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय जय राम ओम श्री राम जय जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम ओम श्री राम जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम ओम
श्री राम राम ओम
श्री राम जय राम ओम ओम श्री राम जय राम हरि ओम। Yesterday, we are going through the 64th sloka, Ragadvesha Viyuktai. Vishayan Indriyaishchara Atmavaishya Vidheyatma Prasadam Adhigachati. The self-controlled person moving among sense objects with the senses under one's restraint and free from attraction and aversion attains to tranquility. That is called prasadam. Prasadam is the peace, the tranquility. Prasadam adhigachati. Ragadvesha Viyuktai, free from attraction and repulsion, Raga and Dvesha. Every moment he will be subjected to this likes and dislikes. Siddhanji Maharaj used to say, daily life and daily sadhana. Daily sadhana is to enable us to move qualitatively richer. How do we know that? Unless there is a field where we implement nama chanting, bhajan, satsang, swadhyay, they are all normally we name it as sadhana. So daily sadhana. Daily life, family life, personal life, social life, personal life. So God gives us through that particular outward life so that we can try and implement. We may fail. The dimension should first come at all. Previously we were under the impression that life is nothing but till we die, but that is what is called life. Every now and then we develop some desire, infatuation. We go along with it, we fix a target. We strive for it. There are so many ups and downs. At times we become happy, at times we become not happy. We develop aversion towards somebody, aversion towards some objects. We develop likeness towards individuals. We develop likeness towards others. All these things are going on every day. So now, Lord Krishna says, we know this. If we become neutral, if we become absolutely neutral, we don't identify anything. When we reach that stage, we will be at tranquility. That is called prasadam. And in the next stanza, he says, prasade sarvadukhanam Hanirasyopajayate prasanna chetasavakyashu buddhi pariyavavishthitaha. In tranquility, all sorrows are destroyed. For the intellect of one who is tranquil-minded is soon established in firmness. We are trying to understand how to get the man of steady wisdom. Now we know which are the times when we become unsteady. We have heard Sardar Patel, when he was arguing a case, suddenly somebody came and gave a chit. That his wife passed away. He continued, because of the fag and but he continued that when there. What had happened has happened, that's all. Why make a big fuss? He was able to control, not that he was a stony-hearted person. He was able to control himself. Even if the worst thing happened, and here Ranganathanji beautifully brings out this anecdote. When prasada or tranquility comes, all sorrows are destroyed. sarva dukkha dukkhanam hani. No? I have seen even in ordinary people this steady buddhi in the presence of temptation. In the Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture in Calcutta, when I was secretary there in the 1960s, a person living in our international house lost a purse of 10,000 rupees in 60. Or rather left it in the room along with his air ticket and passport and went away to Delhi. Going there, he found everything gone. Then he phoned to me at Calcutta. What happened? The worker who looks after the room found all this lying there. A purse of 10,000 rupees and the tickets. See the greatness of that employee who was getting a small salary of about 700 rupees a month. Yet he quietly brought this to the office. This person has suffered, he has left it, you must restore it. He could have easily taken that money. He also was in need. But no, he had another way of looking at things. Such a way of looking at things is getting lessened. What is the cause? The sensory system is very, very powerful. The me and mine is very powerful. And controlling the buddhi is weak. The capacity to feel and respond to another person's problem as one's own is a spiritual capacity. That capacity can come to all people. But sometimes the high in society may not have it. In India, we have now two types of poor people. The poor and the poverty-stricken, namely the rich. The latter have much, but they always want and seek more and more. The poor and the poverty, through corrupt practices, they cannot manifest this buddhi, which is a spiritual quality, does not depend upon social status. Any human being can achieve this quality. So, prasanna chetasa hyashu buddhi paryavadishtite. The buddhi of a person with tranquil mind soon becomes steady. This is the important statement in this section. Verses 64, 65 go together. Many incidents we have seen nowadays. Somebody goes to the ATM, they saw the money. Immediately he reports it to the police station. They find out from the bank who tried last. Then they came to know, then they get in that. That's the question. And he said, I have been trying, then got vexed and came back. But his money was there. It wasn't touched. It came in the paper. Many incidents we have come across. Many. Suddenly they may not say taught philosophy, but practical. Immediately they place themselves in the other position. What a turmoil he must have been passing. That tranquility, that is called prasada. That is, it comes from spirituality. We may not be aware. The spirit in me and the spirit in others are same. That is called spirituality, It is not a big word. The spirit, the power, the mysterious power because of which we feel we are, the life force. That spirit is in everybody. So when we deal with the spirit, when we think about the spirit in me and in others, it is called spirituality. Absence of otherness. See how Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the second chapter, in these few stanzas, how they bring the ultimate spiritual enlightenment in such a simple word. Absence of other. So this is what is called prasadam. Whenever though we normally attribute it only to eatables, now we slowly try to understand prasadam. What is prasadam? Tranquility. Prasade sarva dukkhanam. In peace all pains. Honey, it gets destroyed. Hanirasya upajayate. Prasanna chetaso hyashu buddhi paryavarishta. It is natural for an Arjuna mentality of uncompromising intellectualism to ask Krishna, then what? And as an answer, Lord explained why he should develop and maintain tranquility of the mind in himself. In tranquility, all sorrows are destroyed. This sentence is obviously commented upon as a definition of happiness. Peaceful mind is a significant condition of happiness. Peace is happiness. Happiness is peace. The least agitated mind is itself proof against all sorrows, inasmuch as sorrow condition is nothing but the state of agitation of the mind. Keeping the mind exposed to an atmosphere of tranquility, consciously brought about through an intelligent life of self-control, is the secret whereby all the vasanas can get of themselves eliminated. It was a test given to God, 10,000 rupees to that employee whose salary was 700 rupees. We were traveling from Chennai, I don't remember exactly. In the same compartment, there was the Vice Chancellor of Central University. When we were reaching Cheruvattur, we saw each other. It was night, early morning. We said, hello, we had come to Ashram. We said, where are you getting down? I am getting down in Nileshwaram, next station. Nileshwaram, the train stopped. He got down. He stayed there only for a minute or something. The train started moving. Suddenly, the assistant, who used to give us this pillow and bed sheet, he saw the mobile. He took that mobile. The vehicle is moving. Train is moving. He immediately went to the exit. And then, by the time, he saw the VC had passed. So he called him. And then he handed over the mobile to the person who is in front of him. It is his. I was watching it. And then the VC realized, I have forgotten. He went there. We all could see from the moving train. And he got the mobile. And at that time I was looking at the face of this person. He was very happy. Prasadam. Now we understand that it's prasadam. 50%.
The presence of mind at that time knows very well.
And it is already left. What can we do? He immediately put two and two together. It could be his only. He is the only person who got down from the compartment. And immediately, because his total detachment was there, immediately rushed up to the exit, gave to the person, somehow made signs to the other person and made him known that he has given this, and then both were watching, and the VC going there, getting this one, and then he said, like this, you are very, very, very happy. So like that, God is teaching us every moment, These are all theories in the scriptures. These are all verifiable truths. Ranganathan brings out such words. It is a truth, no doubt. But it should be a verifiable truth, otherwise it is an academic, it is a knowledge, that's all. But when you verify, it becomes real truth. So these things are verifiable truths. He parades before us many such incidents, so you don't require to be a Mahatma to reach that stage. All these moral ethical values, it can be practiced at our level, and these are all contributory factors in our spiritual journey, and one day we will be able to make our spiritual, knowingly, it's a spiritual journey. At that time, the assistant may not know that it is contributing to his spiritual journey. To him, it is an individual to individual. That is how God wants. First you start as individual to individual. That is called values. That which binds me with the rest of the creation. Then later on I come to know that the same spirit is there in him. And God is giving me an opportunity to feel for the other person. Because the other person, in the other person and in me, the same spirit is there. The world we live in is a school in which observation and experience offer us immense possibilities for self-improvement. Nay, the world itself is Guru or God. The observation. So, what is prasadam? This is prasadam. Don't be a creature. Be free. That is the supreme message of Vedanta to all humanity. In several verses, this is stressed again and again. This discipline at the sensory level is what makes for yoga. Remaining or at the stage of sense pleasure makes for bhoga. We will begin with bhoga, but Vedanta and the science of human possibilities tells us not to continue at the bhoga level all the time. It tells humanity to rise slowly to the yoga level. Yoga means union with God. The moment you hear yoga, normally we think about the yogasana, various postures, yoga teacher, yoga classes. Yoga is union with God. All those exercises are meant for union with God. That is why the Bhagavad Gita itself is called Yoga Shastra. At the end of every chapter, we used to recite that mantra, What do we do? Srimad Bhagavad Gita to Upanishad to Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastri. Sri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Arjuna Vishada Yogo Prathama Dhyaya. Everything is beautifully given. Yoga Shastri. It is not a dialogue between X and Y. It is purely a Yoga Shastra. A Shastra which defines union with God. An exposition. So that is the yoga level. What we are now is in the yoga level. It tells humanity to rise slowly to the yoga level. Sri Ramakrishna put the subject in a beautiful way. If you don't rise from bhoga to yoga, you will be a roga. You will be in roga. If you don't rise from bhoga to yoga, you will be in roga. That is, all sorts of mental and nervous ailments, social tensions will come to you. He also speaks of 3 levels of ananda or bliss available to all. Vishayananda, Bhajanananda, Brahmananda. Sensual joy, joy arising from singing, bhajan, etc. Joy arising from realizing our infinite and immortal nature of Brahman. So march on. Don't stay at the sensory level. The child lives entirely at the sensory level. But as it grows older, it can get intimations of something higher. Let me go towards that. That means a little discipline of the sensory system. Even to become a law-abiding citizen, you need a little self-control of the sensory system. Even to be a member of a healthy society, you need a little control over the sensory system. This is what is insisted upon by the Gita. Not as an end in itself. In the very first sloka in this section, when Sri Krishna started expounding the nature of the Siddha Prajna, he said, it is not that you drive away your sensory attractions, but make the mind empty. It is not that you drive away your sensory attractions and make the mind empty. That does not make a man Siddha Prajna. Mind must also be yoked to the Atma. That is it. We may be doing exercise, we may be doing self-control, everything is alright, provided it is not yoked to the Atma. It is not connected to Atma. We will not get it. The other one was person to person. No? He is a good person, no doubt. Nature I should know goodness is godliness. That's why even Bhajanananda is a sensory level. We find joy. You know? So that means we don't find joy when we don't do it. So it's a sensory level. Spiritual level. Atmic level. That comes only from his remembrance. Mind must also be yoked to the Atman, that is within. Realize your own infinite nature. Yoked, everybody understands. You know? In the old days when you were ploughing, the bullocks will be we have all done it. So we remember that. Then the bullock goes exactly like what we are now controlled. Mind must also be yoked to the Atman that is within. Realize your own infinite nature beyond the sensory level. Then he or she is the person. A mere negative ascetic attitude is never respected nor presented in Vedanta literature. It must be something which gives you joy. If the sensory system gives you joy, what lies above the sensory system will give you 1,000,000 times more joy. That is the language used in the Upanishad. The Taittiriya Upanishad, while discussing the subject of inquiry into the nature of bliss, it is said, joys of men on earth, gods in heaven, and every other type of joy are only a fraction of the joy of the Atma. The infinite nature of one and all. And therefore, these two verses give us the freedom to live in this world, to work in this world, to enjoy bliss in this world at various levels. Prasada. There are now 60. We started from 54. Now it is 66. 12 stanzas are over. But you will find, either repetition or the same thing brought out in different. He picturized before us what is prasada, what is tranquility, what are the advantages of having a tranquil mind when we deal with men and matters, when we deal with challenges, when we deal with testing moments. Suddenly he now takes us to the other side. What will happen if we don't have this control? Nasti buddhi ayuktasya. This is one of the famous slogas. Nasti buddhi ayuktasya nachayuktasya bhavana nachabhavayate shanti ashantasya purasukam. Ashantasya purasukam. Nasti buddhi ayuktasya. No knowledge of the self has the unsteady. Nor has he or she meditation. To the unmeditative, there is no peace. And how can one without peace have happiness? Step by step. What a profound depth psychology you get here. It is not some dogma or theory which you must just believe and go away. Examine it yourself. Is it true? Study your mind, your own reaction. So the verse says, Nasti buddhi ayuktasya. To the ayukta, there is no buddhi. To the unsteady, there is no buddhi. That buddhi by which we have to achieve a stable life and realize the true freedom within ourselves, that buddhi cannot come without this yukti. Discipline at the sensory level, that is called yukti. The buddhi yoked to the Atman, the buddhi that can get pulsation of the Atman itself, the buddhi, that buddhi cannot come without this prior self-discipline at the sensory level. This is the first statement. Nachayuktasya bhavana. Without this sensory discipline, no meditation is possible. Bhavana is a word for meditation. It also means spiritual imagination. Imagination which is able to catch the radiations from the spiritual dimensions of the human personality. It's a wonderful quality. The capacity for imagination. Here it means that type of meditation by which we are able to stabilize our system and get a glimpse of something beyond the sensory level. Najabhavayanta Shanti. Without that meditative mind, there can be no Shanti or peace of mind. Today we deal with tension and stress in our daily life, in our highly industrialized civilization. Everybody is eager to get rid of this tension because with that stress and tension, you won't enjoy life or even your work. You are a mere creature of the environment in which you are working. Jandu. Therefore, that meditative state, where you are perfectly at peace with yourself, that state cannot come without this kind of disciplining of the sensory organs. And lastly, Ashantasya Kutasukam. What a beautiful expression. Without that Shanti, where is happiness? Mind is constantly in a disturbed condition. Then where is happiness? Happiness is a wonderful state. You are serene, you are calm, you are fulfilled. Then only happiness comes. Therefore, if happiness is the objective, you have to handle this mind. To handle the mind, you have to handle the sensory system which is below the mind. Then a disciplined inner life sets in. Mind is the supervisor of sensory organs. And if the mind is working under sensory organs, thought alone can give us this Shanti, Very calm. You are not perturbed that anything happens. When something is reported, you are not stony-hearted, you are not deaf, you are not blind. Everything is active, but no ripples, no reactions, no deep vibrations. Shantasya Kutasukam. When we say we are miserable, immediately we understand. Oh, it is not due to anybody else. I have not accepted everybody or everything as they are.
your making.
Eh?
My own
My
making.
own
Our own making.
Papa writes that in the Inquest of God. All of his own making. Tension. Everybody will do that. Every one of us. But later on we slowly graduate. Initially identification with the object situation, it keeps on fluctuating, and so we become upset, we become joyful, we become upset, we become joyful. This pendulum goes on like this.
As it is.
So the self-control is, though the pendulum goes here and there, it doesn't strike anywhere.
Pendulum stops on.
When it pendulum does not stop, I cry. You are there. If you are also upset, you will also cry, or you will get tensed up. Who is responsible? What is responsible? The pendulum goes on, but you are not affected.
Let it go on.
Not striking. You will immediately call, why is he crying? What has happened? Calm, serenity means not become, inert, insentient, insensitive. No. You are not affected. So you will be able to handle it better. When you are affected, your efficiency in handling becomes less. You are not affected. So many instances in our professional life, how the boss dealt with. He is coolly, calmly, hear our version, our assertion. And finally they think about it. Let it not be like this. It can also be like this at times. And suddenly you become affected. Because he is not identified totally with what you say. He is able to rise above, witness, and then dispassionately handle. At the same time, he is not forcing it upon you. He makes you to think. Many instances. So here he says, man is constantly in a disturbed condition. Then where is happiness? Happiness is a wonderful state. You are serene, you are calm, you are fulfilled. Then only happiness comes. Therefore, if happiness is the objective, you have to handle the mind. To handle the mind, you have to handle the sensory system, which is below the mind. Then a disciplined inner life test. So we are handling the mind. We are not carried away by it. That means handling the mind means there are two types of mind, higher and lower. The higher mind sits, wait. Don't jump into the conclusion. It could be the other way also. This is not going to give you happiness. So the upper mind takes possession of us. The lower mind, it becomes a subordinate to the sensory organ. An agnostic thinker like Bertrand Russell, in the last chapter of the book on the Kingdom of Happiness, says that you can get happiness when you have three integrations achieved in your life. Do it from an agnostic level, a nihilist, a rationalist. Integration between you and the society, number one. Integration with the nature outside. Integration within your own mind. These are the three integrations that can give us joy. You go along with everybody, Otherwise, suppose you isolate yourself from the rest means, how will you have the opportunity to adjust, to reconcile, to tolerate, to forbear, all these things, how will you get? There will be somebody who may be talking something which is not to my liking. They may be doing something which may not be my liking. Still, I reconcile, We must have shared probably in our Madras life, in our Lord's life. Youngsters, in Lord's, they will go, they would like to have movies. Everybody is very nice, pakka gentlemen, good people, ready to serve attitude, all positives are there. The Saturday evening, they will say, we will go for a movie at 9 o'clock, 9:30. We will be reading something. They will come to the book. Suppose they are reading, they will close the book. Where would I go? Good thing. Get up, we go with them. Because you see them whole, The same person, when suppose we are sick, he will take a leave. And one more thing, touching, we always remember. On those days, when as soon as we get salary, we go and buy meal tickets. 15 rupees for 30 tickets. As soon as we get salary on the month, you go to the hotel, they give you 30 tickets, meal tickets. It costs only 15 rupees. So every day, evening when we go there, we give one ticket. Suppose you come from different place to meet me. Then I will say, Umesh, we will have meal. But mind you, my meal is going. I am losing one day's meal. In my enthusiasm, I take you there, okay? After 25th or 26th, nobody will be having any cash with them. After Kadasi. Nobody, when, so you have no ticket also, what will you do? And you will not ask anybody. So at young age, 18, 20, 19, 20 years, we will be hungry, no doubt. So we take some water, something like that. We will be sitting in the road. These friends, they will be watching who is sitting. They will come on, we will go for meal. No, I don't feel like taking meal. He will bluntly ask, ticket will you down? Get up. You get up. Before I go for meal, nobody talks about philosophy, but he will come and verify. Such type of people, when they come and ask for this, we don't say, I don't like, I don't do. You see the whole picture, We cannot brand it a craving, We will take it as a entertainment, break, that's all. Good. So, integration between you and the society, that's very important. Otherwise, how will we know? We are in a compartment. We have closed all our shutters. We have only our own thoughts. Whereas we live because of others. The simple principle we forget. Everything that we use is a gift of others, I have not brought anything. So integration with the society. I owe everything to the society. The first stage. Then integration with the nature. If the air is not given by the nature, how do I survive? So integration with the society, integration with the nature, a little contemplative mood will answer all these questions. It is very important. I cannot isolate myself from the rest of the society. Because I am what I am because of the society. Every day I eat because somebody has struggled for it. I use so many creature comforts because somebody has produced. I use the language. Somebody gave me that language. I feel I have got expertise in this. Somebody gave me that. So everything I owe to this creation. First stage. Everything. Right this moment, everything I owe to this creation. If the electricity is functioning, if the fan is functioning.
A to Z.
A to Z. Everything. With minus the society, I cannot live. Bertrand Russell says, who is an agnostic, who says, there are three integrations. First is integration with the society. Elements. And then integration with the nature. The space, the earth, the air, the sun, the water, trees, vegetables, anything. So I should integrate myself. And the third one is integration with the mind. With your own mind. What does it mean? Somebody says something, you are upset. Your mind, what happened? Your own mind, creative mind, productive mind, guiding mind, your closest friend, dearest friend, who has helped you to live up to this level, up to this moment, using discriminative faculty, storing memories, giving you guidance. All experiences come and go, but they leave a deep impression in our mind. That is our guiding spirit. With such a mind, if I don't integrate, I am always looking at the mind of somebody and get ups and downs. You have to deeply think about it. Here we remember about the best friend, Siddhanji's beautiful article. Mind is your own best friend. It's an asset, but in another asset is your best, closest friend. He is available to you at your beck and call. He has not deserted you in times of crisis. Never. With such a mind, you have to integrate. Integration between you and the society, integration with the nature outside, integration with your own mind. That is what is called, he says, Ashantasya Sukham, Atmavaishye Videyatma. Atmavaishye Videyatma. If you are perfectly self-restrained with tremendous discipline within, in earlier sloka he says, Atmavaishye Videyatma. If you are perfectly self-restrained with tremendous discipline within, you can freely move about in the samsara. Otherwise, it will be a tragedy of human life. You can study all the various tragedies in literature. From the Greek tragedies to our own Mahabharata, in which you see tragedy from beginning to end. So also in Shakespeare. We see tragedy everywhere around. Now this tragedy of human life is put into one verse here. Why does this tragedy take place? Some discipline is lacking in the human being or beings concerned. This is put in a beautiful language. The next stanza. Tomorrow is Thursday, Thursday, Friday and Saturday. We are away for 2 weeks from 30. So there won't be any session, 3:30, 4:30 session. So before that we will try at least read. There are about 72, no? So 5 we will be able to finish. But what is more important is the recap. This is something precious. This 18 stanzas, at least one or two if we can remember, it will be a torchlight. Whenever we are in darkness, we have to use the torchlight to handle the situation effectively so that you don't go off the line. We have been thinking about ourselves. All those things will get purely transformed. And especially the last degree, so beautiful. Think about this deeply. 3 integrations. Ashantasya Kudasugam, in that he explains. If we want Shanti, if we don't have Shanti, there is no happiness. If we want Shanti, these 3 damn integrations should take place. Harmonizing ourselves with the society, harmonizing ourselves with the Mother Nature, harmonizing ourselves with our own mind. If this is not there, there will be Ashanti. If there is Ashanti, how can there be happiness? Ashantasya Kudasugam. Nasti buddhi ayuktasya najayuktasya bhavana najabhavayatasyantir ashantasya Kudasugam. The next time we will take it up tomorrow. One who has no philosophical goal of life to strive for, and you are, he will not know what peace is in the mind, what peace is in the mind. And one who is restless, then to him where is happiness? In short, to live in balance and sail safely through the uncertain waves of the ocean of life, across both the uncertain, across both the smiling weather and the stormy days, we must have a constant perception of the real. Without a drummer, the dancer's footwork cannot be rhythmic and keep perfect time. Without a drummer. So if we don't have control, what is called drummer, there won't be any rhythmic. The dancer's footwork cannot be rhythmic. That means I will not be able to live a harmonious life and keep perfect time. For anything and everything you will find that. Even a train has to come. There will be a drummer there, the person who goes and gives you the bell. Immediately we are all alert. In temple you go, there is a bell. Then the calling bell. Everywhere you find, You are treated as an object which helps us in our day-to-day life. We hardly think about the subtle aspects. It is a warning. Be on time. Be rhythmic. Harmonizing with the society, harmonizing with the nature, harmonizing with our own mind. Yes. We also remember now, when Papa talks to us about the Atmananda, he uses that beautiful word, objectless happiness. A happiness which is not dependent upon any object, anything external. That is what is called harmony. And that harmony is extended to society, extended to nature, extended to my own mind. I become aware. Otherwise, I will not become aware. I may be in the society, still I am selfish, self-centered, only bothering about me and mine. But the moment I start harmonizing, the care and concern of so many people slowly start occupying your mind. And with Mother Nature, we will not spit, we will not throw plastic, we will not do anything, At least this I can do. We will sweep, we will keep it clean, we will keep everything in an order. I cannot do even 1/1 millionth of what Mother Nature gives me. But at least I have a mind to give back, that is enough. Because it doesn't, Mother Nature does not put any condition. Even if I spoil the atmosphere, I will not be denied of anything. At least, in my mind, I must harmonize with society. I must harmonize with the nature. Similarly, I must harmonize with them. So these are the powerful messages given to us. Kindly think about it. Don't just leave it like that. This is a remedy in a capsule form. He put the word integration. That's all. Integration between you and society. To integrate. Harmonize. Becoming one with. Not like Vellum and Patarshi. Tamil Vellum Patarshi may be the They do not go together. Share. It has to come not because somebody says, it has to come by our own rational thinking. It is not because of somebody advises us. It is because of the naked truth before us. Minus society, I am not there. And I cannot give back to the person who has given me all these. I can only give back to the society which is in front of me. The specs, which we are using. We don't know the Mahatma. Or a series of Mahatmas who conceived and brought it to this level. We cannot pay it back. But we can pay back to the society whatever we have. So similarly we start thinking, harmonizing the society, integrating with the society. Gandhiji that said that we should become zero, so that we don't stand out. I don't want to stand out. The moment I integrate myself, finished. We become zero. Dissolve. We are there, we are not dead. But we become one. That is why in spiritual language we say, our idea is not to become something. Our idea is to become nothing. So every moment when we start thinking, we are there because of the factors other than us, then how can you carve out a figure for yourself? You are nothing. When he says, we suddenly understand we are nothing, We have got a name, power, position. No. You have nothing. You are what you are because of everything other than you. The simple truth, you try to accept it. So this is what is expected of us by Lord Krishna. This is the cream of his talks in this 18th. About self-control, under the cover of explaining about Siddha Prajna, he brings out this naked truth before us, making us to think deeply. The rest of the 5 stanzas also we will go through tomorrow or day after. Let us do a lot of thinking. Let us not leave it like that. If we leave it like that, we are the losers. If we contemplate further, we become enriched by it. Our life becomes qualitatively richer. And that will lead us to Shanti. That will lead us to happiness, fullness. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Om Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.
Hari Om, Swami ji.